Today we're going to be doing a quick video on how to set up account codes for your copier. Um, the need for accounting codes will be to be able to lock your users down to disable them from printing in color, or if you want to be able to limit your users from printing in any way, shape, or form. If you want to give your users, a monthly limit to print or anything like that, any sort of, lockdown feature to sort of prevent the users from printing in color too much. All these sort of features would be enabled through the job accounting feature. So first thing you're going to do is go ahead and type in an IP address of your copier into a web browser and then go ahead and hit enter. You should be taken to a web page that looks just like this. Today's model that I'm working on is going to be the CS5551. The tutorial will be specific to this series of model. This series of models, Kyo just recently came out with the ability to enable account codes on the machine. If you have a model that ends in 0, a 5550, 3550, 4550, etc., most likely this tutorial is not going to pertain to you. So again, if your model ends in in a 1, then you're good to go. Once you're on the web page, we're going to go ahead and we're going to log in as admin. Username admin with a capital A. Password is also going to be the same, capital A, lowercase d-m-i-n. Once you have the username and password in there, go ahead and click login. Once we're logged in, on the left hand side we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to management settings. Under management settings, you can see that I have the job accounting feature right here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Right now, basically, my job accounting settings are turned off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and enable this. I want my job accounting turned on. I want my job access to be local. And I want to be able to apply limits immediately or subsequently. I have another option in here for the printer count will be individual or total. This comes down to if you want to lock down the copier to a certain number per month. If you were going to set it to an individual, those limits per month could be applied to the individual user. If you were going to do a total, then the machine, once the machine hits that entire total, then it would go ahead and lock you guys out. If you're going to do the restrictions per period would be set down here. So again, if I want to take my machine and I want my machine to only make 1,000 copies, I would go ahead and change that to 1,000. And then I could go ahead and set restrictions for single color, full color, total, full color here, and scan here. Most of the time what we're finding in the field is we're mostly noticing that people really want to lock down the copy for color and they want to lock down the printing in color. So setting the limits for the black and white may not be a big deal. So if you guys are just interested in locking out color, again, what you're going to do is just hit the copy restriction, fill in the limit that you're looking to do, and then come down here to the print restriction and you can fill in the limit you want to do down here. Once these are okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click submit. Basically what I've done right now is I've locked the machine down, and the machine is only going to unlock if somebody walks up to it with a valid account code. Unfortunately, I don't have any account codes created. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here to job accounting, and we're going to come down here and we're going to start to add accounts. So I'm going to click on Add Account. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and enter a name. For today's video, I'm just going to enter the username of test. You guys can enter a friendly name, some sort of name or department number that you guys will recognize when you're running your reports. You'll understand, okay, test prints this much per month. So just make sure that the friendly names that you're using an account name, you do recognize which user it does pertain to. From here, this is where I'm going to set my account ID. I generally like to set the account IDs with a minimum of 5 numbers. So again, for today's purposes, I'm going to go ahead and just enter 5 zeros. Under the restriction area, this is where I can set the individual restriction for my users. So again, if my user hits my restriction, what I can do is I can tell it to reject usage entirely, or I can still allow the user to print. Same thing with copy restriction for single color, full color, print restriction, full color, scan restriction, others. Again, generally speaking, what we're talking about is we're usually talking about locking down color and printing for copying as well. So under copy restrictions, essentially we would come in here, do a counter limit, and then basically for my test user, if I wanted to give my test user, let's say 500 color copies in a month, I could go ahead and set this limit to 500. And then I could come down here to the print restriction full color, change this, and set this as a counter limit to a 500. By setting these two counters specifically and setting them to counter limit, what I've enabled and what I've allowed this user to do is this user is now allowed to print in color up to 500 copies here, and they can also make 500 copies when they walk up. So they have 500 printed and 500 walk-up copies. Black and white, I'm going to leave the restriction to off. Single color, nobody really does single color, so we usually just set this to off. Once you have the restrictions set up and you're comfortable with it, you go ahead and hit submit. And that's essentially it. So real quick, go over it once again. If we want to add an account, click add account. We're going to give it a friendly name. I want this user to only have a limit of 500 color prints and 500 color copies per period. So what I'm going to do, come down here, copy restriction full color, counter limit, set it to 500. Come down here to print restriction full color, counter limit, and then set this to 500 as well. I've now locked this user down. This user now is limited to 500 copies and 500 prints. Once the machine reaches the limit, forgot my user ID. Again, just for testing purposes, I'm going to go ahead and just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's essentially it. We've created two users. Both of them have a restriction of 500. Once the copier reaches, or once the user reaches that limit, that individual user limit of 500, the machine will lock that user out, and that user will no longer be able to make any more prints or copies until their counter is cleared. And again, if the user hits their limit, you can come to the same page, go into job accounting, and if I want to hit my counters, I can go ahead and hit the individual counters right here, and I could reset my counters. So again, if my user hits their maximum and they're no longer able to print or copy in color, I could go to their job accounting settings, find their account, click counter, go to the bottom and click reset. Once I click reset, all the counters will reset, and that will then allow the user to print 500 more. And that's it.